Hey, so TotalBiscuit created a video talking about his views and how he spent a lot of money at PAX and how nobody's really watching the videos. It's kind of ironic that he says that because he says like nobody's watching the videos yet. He's got like hundreds of thousands of views. But I totally understand all the points he made in the video, and I'm sure he read all the comments. But I just kind of wanted to put mine out there. So I really like your reviews, TotalBiscuit. I really like them. I guess they're not reviews, right? They're first impressions. I got it. I know. But either way, I like them. I like the videos. I like to watch your first impression of a game before I buy it. And I probably speak for a lot of people when I say that. So you provide a lot of information and a lot of thought, and more importantly, a lot of gameplay footage compared to like a lot of the other media out there where we can see screenshots or short clips of what they want us to see. We get from you solid chunks of gameplay and thoughtful commentary. That's what I like about your channel. That's why I'm subscribed to your channel. That's why I will continue to stay subscribed to your channel. But you went off and did the PAX thing, and that's cool, man. Like, I'm jealous. I wish I could have gone. I couldn't, but that's okay. And then you spent a lot of money doing the PAX stuff, but I don't care about that stuff, man. You admitted yourself in the video that you can't get good game footage of the AAA titles, which is really, to be honest, most of all we care about. Like, we don't care about the crap games that you showed. Project Shield, man, I don't know what demographic they're marketing that to, but it's not me. Like, I can't even afford to have a top-of-the-line PC, much less some little gadget that I can play my PC from my bedroom. Like, I don't know. Bottom line is I don't care about that. If I was like managing your channel, I would have skipped all that PAX stuff and given me a BioShock Infinite review. Or, I'm sorry, first impression. I know they're not reviews. First impression. I bought BioShock Infinite before I saw your video, and that's something I don't like to do. Luckily, I wasn't burned. It was a pretty good game. It wasn't perfect or anything, but a pretty good game. But I would have preferred for you to make that video than any of the PAX videos. Give me BioShock Infinite. Give me some other games, man. Like, and I know you don't like to do these first impressions on old games, but I would enjoy that too. Like, I watch your first impression videos on old games too. Games that I never got around to playing 2 or 3 years ago. I have a little bit of downtime. I kind of want to go back and see what you have to say about them. Excuse me. And I'd appreciate it, or, I guess you don't owe me anything, but I think I speak for a lot of the viewers when I say that we would watch more of your videos if you focused more on that aspect of your channel than on all the other stuff, and you do your content patches. And I watch those videos too, man, but I don't watch those to get the news, because I'd much rather just read the news. I like hearing your thoughts on things. If you cut out like all the other content except your WTF series, and maybe like maybe you could create like an old section, right? Like where you go back and play like old favorites and critique them. I think that would be really helpful. Or maybe a section where you do strictly games in development. And I know that requires a lot of dev work, talking to the devs and the PR groups and stuff like that, but man, I think a lot of your comments and your insights would be best served before the game's released. I mean, I appreciate you looking out for us guys, us gamers out here that are just wondering whether or not we should chunk up the $50 to buy a game, but it would be even better if you could work with some of these developers, during the alpha and early beta stages to say, look, I mean, this is crap, or, like, look, this is what I really like about it, and this is how you really spoil it. Once again, I mean, I guess that's completely in the developer's arena. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the subject in response to your video. I'm going to continue for a little bit talking about what I like and don't like about your videos, because I'm a talker. Okay, so what I really like of it is, like I said, the gameplay and your commentary. Now, the only thing that kind of bugs me is you always harp on the same subjects, like how linear a game is, or how many other options you have, or the texture quality of a game. But to be honest, as a pretty faithful gamer throughout the years, I don't care about either one of those things. To me, the game is all about how fun it is, how engaging it is, and things like that. And I know those are subjective, but I would really like to hear subjectively how you feel about it. And every now and then you throw in a comment like, well, I really enjoy doing this, or I really enjoy doing that. But give me more of that. Like, if the game's linear but you're having a blast, to me that's more important than having an open world experience, because sometimes those games are needlessly open world to the point where I'm exploring all these nooks and crannies, but really all I'm doing is wasting time in the game. It's artificially inflating the playtime of the game. And if anybody watches this, I'll probably get a lot of flame for saying this, but I feel like Skyrim and Oblivion and Fallout and those games kind of fall into that category, because in those games there's useful exploration and a lot of wasted exploration. I'd say at least a third of my game time on Skyrim, Oblivion, Fallout New Vegas, etc., back to Morrowind, and before that, is there was a lot of times the exploration was really rewarding, and there's a lot of times where the exploration is like, oh look, I've got some more crap, I'm just gonna leave in the crate because it was cool to come over here and see this. But if you're not gonna give this little niche of the map, something creative, something useful, then I'd almost prefer you leave it out. Just put a big invisible wall there, because invisible walls are a hell of a lot less frustrating than me spending 20 to 30 minutes going and clearing out like a camp of guys and finding that, well, there's actually nothing useful in this area at all. So maybe put a little bit more of that subjective stuff in there. In terms of graphic quality, man, I still play Diablo 2 from time to time. I load up a character. Graphics on that game are terrible. I'm talking about original Diablo 2 too, where you're at 640 by 480 resolution, and talk about pixelated. Oh man, nostalgia cannot cover up the amount of pixelation in that game. Man, now, like some games, like the War Z. I mean, the War Z is a pretty hot topic, but one of the big problems with that game was how terrible the graphics were. Now, true, in a game like that does seem to detract a little bit, because they could have made the graphics so much better. But at the same time, when I'm running by a building, I don't really care about the texture quality. If I'm having fun playing the game, I don't even notice that crap. Now, Bioshock Infinite's a good example. My computer's nowhere near as powerful as yours. So when you play that game, it's going to look a lot better. But to me, it still looked great, even though there were parts of the game that were, I wouldn't say heavily pixelated or badly textured, but because my graphics are turned down, so low to keep my frame rate up, that, it wasn't the best looking experience. That being said, like, a lot of times, and a lot of this is mostly in your older videos, I haven't really noticed it too much in your new videos, but you talk a lot about like 60 frames per second. I used to, and I don't know if I missed a video where you talked about how you were going to stop talking about that, because I haven't noticed it recently, but like 60 frames per second, man, that's double what you need. You only really need a game to run at 30 frames per second. So, and the reason, the reason that you want the game to go above 30 frames per second is for those times when the frame rate slows down, because there's so much action on the screen, or there's a heavy explosion going on, because the frame rate is gonna dip, and the problem is only when it dips below 30. But like, if the game locks you to 60 frames per second, or if it locks you to 40 frames per second, that's not a bad thing at all. It helps guys like me who can't afford the top of the line rigs, because anything over 30 frames per second isn't noticed by the human eye. You can't notice it. So while it's really cool to have machines and all that can handle idling in a game at 100 frames per second, it doesn't matter as long as it doesn't dip below 30. That being said, man, I love your work. I love your videos. Keep it up. And I'll put a link to TotalBiscuit's channel here in case any of you guys somehow avoided knowing who that guy is. Thanks for your time.